also like the title of your show is like a play on the F word, isn't it? Like
what?
Yeah, the Ef'n Sonny show. It's like a play on the F word, no?
Hello, listeners. This is Ef'n Molina, and I got Richard Gonzalez. And today, as our special guest, we got Sunita, who is an aspiring actress, right?
Yes, that's me.
And we came across your article in the Monitor, and it seemed like during the whole COVID crisis that you got stranded down here, or
Yes, yeah. So I basically came down in March for a wedding, and LA was like, "Oh, we're going into lockdown," and I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna stay here." And then Texas went into lockdown, and then by the time I was ready to go back to LA, they were opening up, and the riots started happening because of BLM. And unfortunately, they were kind of where I live in West Hollywood, so it was getting really bad there. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna hold off. And then July came, and I was like, I'm leaving in July, no matter what. And now I think Texas is about to lock down again. LA just locked down yesterday. So yeah, I've just been kind of stranded. My parents are like, "Why are you still here?" I'm here, and yeah, they're kind of like, "You sure you can't go back?" I'm pretty sure like my plants are dead in LA. I don't know if my car will turn on when I get back, but yeah, it's exciting. It's been an exciting year. Yeah.
welcome 2020, right?
I know. It's been crazy. We've been in lockdown, this has been like unwillingly. Like most people would want to like stay home and watch, Netflix and sit on their ass, but like when somebody tells us what to do, that's the problem. Like we don't want to be told to like stay at home and watch Netflix. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, it was cool for maybe like the first month or two. Now I feel like I'm just reliving, like I'm in Groundhog Day. I'm literally every day blends into itself. It's the same thing, and I'm just asking like, when is the next day ever going to come?
Exactly.
Oh my lord!
And so tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up here, like in the Valley, right?
Yeah, I moved here. Actually, I was born in New York, and I came here when I was probably like about 1 or 2, and I grew up in Westlake for a little bit. I moved to McAllen when I was like my teenage years, and then I ended up going to NYU for college. I ended up taking off, but yeah, it was great just growing up here because it's really politically incorrect to say, but sometimes I feel more Hispanic than I do Indian because of the culture down here. And I really am proud to be from the Valley. It's just a really extraordinary, unique place that I think nowhere else in the nation can compare to it. So yeah.
And you got your degree from where?
So I did my undergraduate at NYU, and I got my BA there in communications and media studies.
And what type of undergraduate studies like did you do?
So I did communications and media studies. I always wanted to do film. When I was growing up, I loved, TV and film, like most kids. Whenever I was like a depressed teenager, I'd like come home and like watch TV. I was a really bad student in high school. I like cheated a lot. Like I'd Photoshop my report cards. I think that's where the creative part came in. I'd Photoshop water labels to cheat and wrap the water labels.
Creative mind is what it was, a creative mind.
Exactly. I did a lot of like really bad things, and I would, at that time we could listen to music on our iPods because nobody knew any better. So under the lyrics, I would type up like all the answers, and so I was always in trouble. And so actually, when it was time to go to college, like everybody was applying, and my parents were like, "Oh, so you're not going to Harvard?" And I was I actually stayed here for a year. I stayed at UTPA for 1 year, and I worked my ass off, and then I ended up transferring to NYU.
How was New York? Like, what was your experience living in New York?
Yeah, I have to say, like, I was really privileged in the sense that I traveled a lot, and since I was born there, I wasn't born in New York City. I was born in upstate, but we had a lot of family and friends, so I would frequent New York, and I always wanted to go there. And so when I ended up there, being at NYU is not really like being in college. It's kind of more like you live in the city and you sometimes go to class, and so yeah. Yeah, when I was living in New York, it was very independent, and I think it was such a shocker how anonymous you are versus being here. Everybody kind of knows you, and you know someone of someone, and yeah, in New York, it was very anonymous, and it was definitely a hustle and to create a name for myself, and just working. I worked a lot in like the business side of things, so I worked at Tribeca Film Institute, which was Robert De Niro's institution. And then I worked at Weinstein Company before everything happened. Yeah, so that was kind of like my first taste of film. And that plus living in New York was something else. It's definitely a depressing hustle. Like, it is very chaotic. Like sometimes people tell me they want to move to New York, and they're like, "We love New York. It's so great." And I'm like, "Yeah, wait until you live there. It's not the same." Like living there and visiting there are very, very different, and it's just everybody's packed on the train at 5 p.m. and nobody wants to be on that train, and you got to fight for a spot on the train. And that's kind of how it's like a metaphor for living in New York. Like you got to fight for your spot, like the whole time.
I feel like a lot of people who say that they want to move to New York, like the one that you were just mentioning, they kind of get suckered into the vibe of New York from like the movies or TV. But I think if you talk to locals or people like yourself that have lived there, you're like, it's not. It could be glamorous, but it also is, like you said, it's the hustle, the anonymity of it all.
Yeah.
Very real stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing was when it first snowed. I remember people were like, "Oh my god, the snow, the different seasons." Oh my god, when it snowed, I remember the first time I slipped. I slipped so hard. It was during finals, and a homeless man had to come and help me up, and I was like, "This is New York life." So yeah, it's not very glamorous at all, is what I tell people, but it definitely teaches you a lot about life and the way other people live, and different personalities and things like that.
So when someone says that they want to move to like New York, would you recommend it? Like someone young's like, I want to be a dancer or something like that, musician.
Yeah, I think it's the best. Like, no matter what you say, like the best of the best is in New York. Like you're gonna have. It's the competition, I think, that people need to see that's going to drive you and give you that ambition to go further with whatever it is that you want to do. Like New York, for whatever it is still the most ambitious city, I think. And even when I tell people, down here, when people ask me for advice and so forth, like the one kid who asked me for advice, I'll tell them, like, just get out of the valley. Just getting out of the valley, I think, will expand your perspective so much more. And you can always come back. There's nothing wrong with coming back, but leave and learn about other people and the way that they live and personalities. And in New York, you're going to get the most diversity of that and the most versatile people ever.
Yeah, well.
And I'm not going to jump the gun here, but it's just a curious question. Which did you like more, California or New York?
Oh, California.
Really?
Yeah, it's perfect.
They got Katy Perry.
Yeah, LA is literally like the Valley. It feels like the Valley. It's much more laid back, but it's still a city in that sense. Like you're still getting a bunch of different people, and they're still, fortunately and unfortunately, more open-minded. And it's nice. It's like if the city and the Valley had a kid, it'd be LA, and It's great. Like I miss.
Really a cool way to put it. That's a cool way to put it.
But of course, they wouldn't be married, right?
Dance sort of situation, and yeah.
They'd have come a little marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what made you want to move out to California?
I kind of, so after I graduated from NYU, and I had all this work experience with Weinstein and Tribeca, and I actually befriended like a professor there. Her name is Caroline Barron, and she actually got me into producing. I didn't know what part I wanted to be involved with filming, and I was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know. And I took this producing class there, and I was like, oh, like something clicked. And she ended up becoming like a mentor to me. And at the time, she was producing this show called Mozart in the Jungle with Gael Garcia, and for Amazon Prime. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like, why don't you come work on that? And so I was a production assistant for the show, and then I did some other shows. Some weren't that good. I won't mention them. Some are better than others. But yeah, I was a production assistant for a while, and I did, I was an assistant director for this movie with James Franco, and I did some like commercials with Nike, some other stuff, just things to like get me by, because basically I'm like a freelancer. And at that, and then my parents were like, "What are you doing with life?" And they were like, have you thought about your master's? And then I was kind of like, yeah, actually, like, why don't I look into that? And it turns out USC in California, University of Southern California, had a producing program, an MFA program. And, I didn't think I would get in. It was like 24 people get accepted. I was like, no, I'm not going to get in. And the first time I didn't get in, I actually applied. I was waitlisted. I didn't get in. And I was like, okay, one more time, I'll apply. And I ended up getting in, and it provided like a very nice base for me to go to Los Angeles and create like a new network of people over there.
Wow.
What was your experience like at USC? Was it pretty cool?
Yeah, it was great. It's crazy because the amount of access for our master's program it gave us was insane. Like, I had classes at almost every studio in town. I had classes at Disney. I had classes at Fox. I had classes at a lot of big agencies like CBA and WME. And basically, even today, if I wanted a meeting with almost any exec in town, I could have it. Like, so it was really powerful in that way. But it was also like, yeah, you can have a meeting with any exec in town, but what do you have to show for it? Like, what are you going to ask? Like, you have to put in your own work to make a name for yourself. So going to USC really, helped me in that way, where it helped me just have this huge network of people. And in LA, what happens is that in Hollywood, you rise as a class, like whether or not you went to USC or not. The incoming assistants, the incoming, production assistants, you will be usually promoted at around the same time. So there's this huge network of people your age who are all hustling to get in or hustling to get up that ladder. So they all will connect with you. And, unfortunately, LA gets like a bad rap for being really fake. And I don't really find that to be the case. I think actually, people are, there's obviously fake people, but there's people who are really genuine and want to try and help you out and get you up there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So very cool.
So what in your opinion is like your best movies, like that you think are like good movies? Your top 5.
My top 5? Oh my god, there's so much pressure.
That was actually my question. That was my question.
Yeah, he cut you off. He cut you off. I was like, is he going to stand for that? I was waiting for the suspense. I was like, oh no. Yeah, okay. So my top 5 favorite movies. They're not like, it's funny because in film school, if you say like, my favorite movie is The Avengers, you just get like shit on. Like everybody's like, you're it's so pretentious. It's pretentious as fuck. Like it's terrible. So like I don't have anything that's like, grandeur or anything. I think my top 5 are probably Ratatouille, I love Ratatouille. I think it's amazing animation and the ability to both draw in adults and children so successfully. And I love food, so the amount of research that went into the film and like the amount of renowned chefs that they actually used as references and resources is like amazing. So that's one of my favorite movies. I love Casino Royale with Daniel Craig.
That one's awesome. Yeah.
I love Ian Fleming, his novels. So when they rebooted James Bond and they put in Daniel Craig, that movie is actually very true to the book and the novel of Casino Royale and what Fleming had in mind for Bond. So I think that movie is just perfect, and I love like spy movies and James Bond. James Bond is like a huge thing in my house, so like I love James Bond. I love Rush Hour. I think it's hilarious. Like
that's a good one.
like, it's a movie I can always put on. I just love comedy. I also do stand up, so like Rush Hour was a movie I watched as a kid, and it was just like one of those movies that made me laugh out loud, like so hard, and we still put it on today.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one. So, what else do I like? I like TV a lot, probably. I'm probably more of a TV person.
What are your shows right now? What are you watching?
Right now, I think TV's been kind of like saturated with content, so it's been disappointing. So I've been watching like older shows, where I've been going back and kind of reviewing. I think I just finished Killing Eve. Its new season.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was great, and it just went downhill real fast. I love Fawlty Towers. It's an old British comedy show, so I go back and like review that. I think it's a great show. Mad Men, I still think is one of the best shows ever.
Oh, sure.
It's stunning. Like I was watching it with my dad the other day, and it's just. It's like, it's perfect. It's just perfect. It's like, it's TV porn for like any film kid. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, I haven't really watched much lately because I think a lot of people, whether you're in film or not, are kind of like just overwhelmed with the amount of content, and you're kind of like, like. What's good? What's not good?
I would literally sit in front of my TV and just scroll the Netflix menu for like, and then before I realize it, it's like, oh hey, an hour just went by and I'm no closer to watching a show or a movie than I was when I got on here. I mean, I just don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really disappointing because it's like I'll do the same thing where I'm scrolling, and then I'll end up on my phone like an hour later doing something.
Oh yeah. The natural progression of the Netflix, the Netflix search.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard The Great on Hulu is supposed to be really good. On Catherine the Great, it's supposed to be like a really fun comedy on that, where it just kind of mocks her. And yeah, I haven't really seen much. Sorry.
So you said that you do stand up. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, so like when I was fucking around in high school, like I loved making people laugh, and that was a fun time. And so
Sunita, we try to avoid cussing on our show.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Wait a minute, when did that rule go into effect?
We have.
Well, I didn't know.
No, we're just messing with you. You can swear as much.
Oh, what are you talking about?
You messed up my jokes. You messed up my joke, Richard. I was gonna be. Don't you know we have a huge Christian like following?
It's like also like the title of your show is like a play on the F word, isn't it? Like
what?
Yeah, the Ef'n show. It's like a play on the F word. No.
No.
I hadn't. You know what? I hadn't thought of that, but I could. That's interesting. That is interesting.
That's what I thought when I first read it. I was like, "Oh, cool! They're like fucking around." That's what I thought.
Man, Richard.
Efren's like, okay, and next week we're gonna have.
She's mad. Okay, so like we bring her on the show and she starts insulting us. First, it was like only the best of the best are in New York, right?
So to kind of change pace, so I know that you get pretty heavily involved with raising money, charities, different stuff like that. Tell the people a little bit about how you started doing that, and what positive impact you've seen from it.
Right. I actually have been baking for a while. I love cooking, like I mentioned. And a while ago, I think Texas was kind of suffering from women's reproductive rights and like giving them basic healthcare services. So what I had done was I had a bake sale a few years ago at a local shop. It's Grind Coffee in Edinburgh. I like, partnered with them. I happened to be coming down for, I think it was like Easter weekend. And I was like, this is a good idea. And this is on the news. And Texas of all states, like, needs to help women out. And so I ended up raising like a small sum of like $500, and it was just a starting point. And the next year I did it again with UTRGV, and I partnered with some local Planned Parenthood people because, unfortunately, when people think women's reproductive rights, like they think, oh, abortion, which I get. Like, it's a hard subject, especially for a lot of people down here, which I totally respect. But abortion only takes up like less than 5% of what Planned Parenthood does. Like, there's so many other things. They do breast exams, they do, cervical cancer screenings, they do so much more. And so I ended up raising about $1,000, and I gave half to Planned Parenthood and half locally to Ef'n. And yeah, and then after that, I ended up being stuck here. And like after the first week, I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do? Yeah, and so, like I said, I love reading about the news and just like hearing about, how people are suffering, and it's a shitty situation for a lot of people to be in. And I'm not one of them. I'm pretty privileged. And so I'm like, what can I do with my time that's going to actually help people? And, people have been like really complimentary about my baking. So I said, okay, so why don't I bake and we'll donate like 100% of the proceeds. And I research like CDC Foundation, which is, doing research for vaccines, obviously, and Feeding America, which is giving back to people who cannot afford food for their families. So I ended up raising 4,000. I did 2,000 each. And my dad, not to be arrogant, but both my parents are really generous. And like, I grew up with that. And so my dad, when he like heard what I was doing, he's like, I'll match you. So we recently gave 4,000 to the food bank of the RGV, and that ended up providing like 20,000 meals for people.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, especially during this time, I think it's hard. It's hard being here, especially when I grew up here and knowing like local people are hurting. And so, yeah, I think it's great that we gave back, and I'm trying to see what I can do if I get stuck here again, like what else I can do.
Well, I was going to actually, my next question is if you were planning to do any other, charity events or bake sales or anything like that. So
yeah, I actually ended up launching my own like baking thing now. So I actually sell like my pastries and stuff, and I still give. Right now, I'm giving 20% proceeds to NAACP for BLM, for Black Lives Matter. And like, I'm a person of color, and so it affects me just like as much as it affects Hispanics here too. Like, it does matter. Yes, Black Lives matter more, but it's also about talking about people of color. And so I think it's a really important conversation. And right now it looks like COVID is getting really serious. I think we just became like the epicenter. I think we just like surpassed Italy, didn't we? Like, statistically, yeah. So I'm trying to see what else I can do. Probably go back to some COVID relief for a little bit, just because I think that's very helpful. And it sucks because you're hearing about people who are passing away, and like I mentioned earlier, like in the valley, it's always someone you know. And so these are like people we know now that are suffering. So I think it's really important. So I'm trying to see what I can do. Like maybe doing the same thing where I'm baking and then donating the proceeds again, or part of the proceeds.
Well, if you ever need a volunteer, I would love to volunteer for the cause. So you keep me in mind.
I definitely will. Yeah.
If you ever need,
I think it's great, and I think we need to, because now it's hitting home. Like you said, it's affecting people that we personally know, and we need to all do our part. The people that are, like you said, privileged enough to have the ability. It's what can we do to help out.
Right. I actually, that's funny that you guys mentioned the Monitor article, because this lady commented on it. People in the Valley are like brutal commentators. Like, they just like I'm like,
they'll say something bad no matter You could save the world, and they'll find something negative about it.
I know.
You didn't do it fast enough.
The Monitor posted my article, and this lady commented on it, and she said, "So I just read about like a struggling actress who sells cakes." I was like, "Yeah, that's true. That's me."
Wow.
Yeah,
They're ruthless down here.
Ruthless.
but it was true. I was like, I am a struggling actress, and I'm selling cakes. Like,
You could not have been more accurate.
yeah, like it was true. So, yeah,
That's a movie idea right there, or like TV, like sitcom.
I know.
Yep.
I've actually been writing, so I'm trying to come up with something about me growing up here. So we'll see what happens. It's in the works.
That would be a cool show because of the very unique culture that is down here in the valley. You know, I think it's very different than a lot of other places, and so I think if you come in and you show the very different nature, the way people act and people talk, and all the different things, the interactions amongst people, I think it'd be a great show. I think it'd be pretty funny. It could be comedy for sure.
I think so too. I think it's like I said, the Valley is just a really unique place, and of all the places I've been to, like nothing compares to it. Like it's got its own unique culture, it's got its own unique humor, and I think it would be interesting, especially to see it from my perspective, where I'm not even Hispanic. Like it was just crazy growing up here, and I enjoy it so much, and I didn't regret a minute of it.
What's so crazy, and I hope you don't get offended by this, but you look like you're from the Valley. Like, if we didn't know your first name and last name, we were like, yeah, you're from the Valley, right?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
And you know what? I get a lot of people that come up to me and they're like, wow, are your parents from India? Where, And I'm like, whoa, I'm like, no, I'm from the Valley.
Well, it's funny. Like, I either get one or the other, where people think I'm from here, or people will be like, "So where are you from?" And I'm like, "Dude, I've been living in the Valley probably longer than you have." Like, it's like these younger people who are telling me. I'm just like, I probably know more about the place than you. Like, but like, I think people are getting better about it as they see like the Valley, so diverse. But it's crazy because like there's Indian families that have been living here for decades, more than 30 years, like they've been here, and it's just crazy when people ask me that, because I'm like, what? Like, I've been here for long. Yeah.
So, Sunita, if people wanted to like follow you, do you have like an Instagram page? Do you have a Facebook page? How?
I do. I have an Instagram. It's at La Mala Soul. The bad son, get it? Because Badiga, B-A-D, son, soul.
Oh yeah,
I know, right? I gotta explain to people. It works. It's good. So yeah, they can find me on there. And for my pastries and stuff, I actually just launched a new Instagram. It's baked by La Mala Soul. I'll be happy to give you guys links and stuff. So
yeah.
Cool.
Send us links, and
Yeah.
we could add them at the bottom and stuff, so people can click on it and follow you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
that'd
I
be
mean, what really impresses me the most is you bake goods in the Rio Grande Valley, like the fattest place in the nation. So for you to get into the baking game down here, competitive.
I know. I've actually now I'm gonna take it back to LA. So I think it's like whenever I'm in town, I'm calling myself like a traveling baker here.
Uh-huh.
So like whenever I can do it, I'm happy to. And it's just been like a fun side hobby that I didn't think would become anything. So it's nice. While I'm struggling to become an actress, I have a little bit of profit coming in, like very tiny bit. So
Like you're,
Better than
yeah, exactly. That's what I keep telling my parents, but they're just like, oh god.
please.
Yeah, my mom will still tell me, she's like, I just don't understand why you can't be a lawyer. Like, do you want to go to law school?
No, don't be a lawyer.
Yeah.
No.
Well, sometimes she'll just jump and she'll be like, I just think you'd make a great judge, and you'd look terrific in the robe. And I was like, that's not how it works, right? Like, you don't just become like a judge like that.
Yeah. There's a couple of little steps.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Richard's over there scratching his head. It's like, that's pretty much how it is. There's got to be popular.
Yeah. Amongst other things. Very true.
Do you want to become a judge? Are you trying to become a judge?
No, negative.
Oh, you don't like
desire to go down that road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, down here, there's some stuff going on.
No desires.
That would be a really good like screenplay for you to write, Sunita. You know, the Rio Grande Valley, we got so many stories down here, you know.
Oh, the corruption down here? Oh, God. That'd be like a Godfather trilogy, I think. Like, the corruption.
Yeah.
When you're...
I feel like that right there is a topic that we could have an entire podcast on.
Yeah, I think it's
definitely.
Yeah,
and when
it's unfortunate, but let me tell you, there's corruption wherever you go. I think in the valley, it's I actually commend them because they're a little bit more open about it. So it's like, at least we know. Like,
so that's
like,
what.
Everywhere else is
Very, very flagrant here.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right.
So that's what you tell people in Los Angeles. Oh yeah, it's just out in the open. How do you describe to people like when they ask you like where you're from?
I say Mexico, Texas. I'm like, I'm from a small town, and it's described as Mexico, Texas.
Right.
Like, but I mean, it's like it's a border town. Like, when I tell people it's a border town, but it's not really a town. It's a city. It's like this metropolitan area as well, and it's crazy every time I come home. Like, I remember when we got Zara, I was like, we have a Zara at the mall? What? Like, that's crazy. Like, we have, like, all these new things coming up. And even, like, Yard House, that restaurant, like, there's a ton of Yard Houses in LA. And so I tell people, I'm like, we have a Yard House even though we're a border town. Like, you know, we're growing. And
Top Golf, too?
Top Golf, right. Like, it's just a really unique place. And I think people underestimate the valley and what it has to offer. Like, obviously, you know, us being from here, like, we know the mistakes and like things that can be fixed, and like, you know, how there's problems just like in any other town or city. But, you know, the stereotype of border towns is also like incorrect, and like, or it's like, oh, you're from like this really poor town, and it's not true. There's like a large economy here, especially from people coming across the border. And like how wealthy the city is, like people tend to underestimate it. So like I love bringing people here. Whenever, you know, I brought my NYU friends here, I brought my USC friends here. I try to bring them down whenever they can like afford to come, and I try and show them like what it is. I'll even take them to the Pulga. I'm like, this is what's up. Like,
wow.
The Speedy Papa.
Like, what is their takeaway? Like, what do they tell you about their experience down here? I mean, are they like, holy shit, like this is weird, or are they like, hey, you know, that's actually not as bad as you know, maybe one would have thought, being a border town, I guess you could say.
I think it's just like a really unique place, and when they come visit me, like some of my NYU friends, like when they've come in and have visited me in LA, they're like, wow, it's like really similar to where you're from. And it's when I've had people from USC visit me, they're just like, wow, this is like a really unique place. I think they see it like for its uniqueness. And one person, interestingly, has told me he's from Las Vegas, and he said it's very similar to Las Vegas, aside from the Strip, like how the city of Las Vegas is very similar to here. But yeah, I don't think like I think there's that stereotype when I've invited people where they're like, oh my god, like Narcos, and and it's like, no, that's not it. I mean, they're definitely there, but like we don't talk about them. Like,
they stay over there, we stay over here.
You don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. Like, but yeah, like they're just always like, oh, it's a border, like what's gonna happen, and like I take them to Progreso as well, and like I show them like what's going on, and I think it's just such an important, especially with what's going on right now with the wall and all this bullshit. Like you take it for what it is.
You take like your friends to
like how their community is kind of tied to ours. Like I think it's beautiful. Like there's a beautiful like symbiotic relationship going on.
So,
Yeah.
so you call these people friends and you take them to Progreso?
I tell them when they need the dental work, let's go. Like, we gotta go. My dentist is there. My dentist is there.
Definitely an experience, that's for sure.
There's
Yeah,
code words.
like-
If I say run, just run.
Yeah. We don't go further than that.
Don't look at anybody, guys.
I know that's crazy in Progreso.
Yeah, I definitely go. I go all the time for my dentist. Like the dentists here are crazy expensive. I'm just like, no, I go. And my parents are like, yeah, go over there because we can't afford to fill your cavities here.
Mexico. I probably wouldn't go get like plastic surgery over there, but other than that, I mean, I'm okay
Wrong
with it.
too. That's wrong too. Actually, there's fantastic plastic surgeons.
Really? Are there?
Oh,
Yeah,
Richard,
yeah.
Richard, did
Yeah,
you
it's a stereotype too because like in Reynosa or Monterrey or Mexico City, there's great plastic surgeons, there's great doctors. Just like here, you're gonna have shitty doctors, you're gonna have good doctors. It's the same thing.
True that.
Yeah, like, and I think here, actually in the Valley, I've heard some horror stories about plastic surgery here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I
So
won't name names.
Yeah.
So Sunita, with your Hollywood experience and stuff in the industry, do you think Richard has the face to be on like a TV series? Because
Yes, man, it's a diverse time. We're looking for new faces.
Because
You know what? I've always had Hollywood dreams. So yeah, if you do need a lead in your new script, keep listening. I would love to be involved.
Why not? Yeah.
What the hell, right?
I mean, they're really casting like unique people right now. So you're what's hot. You are.
So what she's saying is that I'm uniquely based. That's not a very good thing, I don't think.
See, do you want a face people remember, or do you want a face that looks like everybody else? You know, there's a lot of actors where like I can't distinguish them. They all kind of look the same, and they're all white.
You know what? That's a good point. I'll take it as a compliment for sure.
Yeah, that's what I do. I pocket it. I'm like, I am.
I'm gonna put there.
Yeah.
and she's also, I'm going to give you the recommendation of a good plastic surgeon, Richard.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Not even directed at you. I was commenting on the conversation.
I thought you were referring directly to Richard. And
Man,
Sunita, can you tell us what is the secret to becoming an extra on like a TV or like a movie? Have you ever been
It's not hard. It's
an
not hard
extra?
at all. It's not hard at all. It's usually there's like a casting website that you can easily like apply for. You can just like set up a profile, and when it's usually like they're shooting, like pilot season doesn't really exist anymore because shows are on Netflix and Hulu. So when shows shoot, they kind of shoot throughout the year, like not consistently. So you just kind of have to apply for this thing online, and you can submit for like a bunch of roles, and people just want extras, right? So it doesn't even matter like who you are, or, like what you look like. They just need like someone in the background. So you can just like submit, and they'll be like, "Come here at 5 p.m. today," and like you can be an extra. It's really not difficult at all. It's really just being in right time, right area. That's it.
And like, I think being an extra is like a lot of work because like you see them in TVs and movies, and like what like are they talking about? Like when they're talking to each other, and like,
Yeah, I was like extra for some HBO show I did for a friend on. It's called Insecure, the show, and yeah, and so I had to walk with this guy, and we were supposed to be like this happy couple, like laughing. And so I was like, penis, 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 penis. Like I was just whispering penis so he would laugh. And like it was so hard to get this guy to laugh. It was like it was crazy. Like that was all I was screaming though. Like it was really immature, and he just didn't go for it. But anyway, like yeah, it's difficult because you're there almost like all day on set. And it's only when you're called, like when they need you, and they might not need you at all, and you don't get paid. Like you're just there
It's
until they
just
want
there
you.
for free.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Wow. So, so you were trying to get that guy fired as a next step?
Well, I was probably getting myself fired, honestly. Yeah, we like it was so weird to get him to laugh though. Like sometimes like it's hard working with other extras too because you're all on like a different wavelength and nobody wants to be there. It's like it's just crazy.
Well, what's good about being from the Valley, Sunita, is whenever you go like anywhere else to New York, Illinois, and you meet someone else that's from the Valley, it's almost like your family. You're like, whoa, we all share these unique experiences here. So if there's any way that the people down here can help you, follow you, assist you in any way, how can we? Can we follow you on Instagram or how do we follow your career?
The career has to start first. That's what I would say. I like definitely like I love receiving like with the Monitor article that came out. It was so nice of them to even cover me, and I received so much feedback from people about like, oh, I have like this relative who's in LA, and like it was just nice to hear like how surrounded you are from people in the Valley. And my dad always says like you can run, but you always find someone in the Valley. They'll be there, and it's true. Like I, even when I was working at Tribeca, one of the higher ups there was from the Valley. Like he grew up here, and it was crazy. It was like such a small world, and so I just love like of course like anybody can follow me, and if anybody ever wants advice or to have advice to give me, I love hearing from people. I love talking to people. So
well, thank you, Sunita, for coming on our show and representing the Valley in LA.
Yeah,
and
of course, I'm happy to.
In entertainment, and keep doing.
I hope that was helpful. Was that helpful? Was that?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, you guys want any dirt? You guys want dirt or what?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would like to. I don't know. We have to edit everything out.